Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Catalytic Conversations live event that is hosted by the Leaders Work and Stephanie Skupin. My name is Meagan Parks. I was a credentialed technician for 12 years. I was in the veterinary industry for 16. I've held all kinds of different positions. I've worked in all kinds of different hospitals, ER specialty, general practice, nonprofit, low cost, spay neuter, all kinds of stuff. And I left the field last summer and I was very angry. And I have been angry for many years about the state of the veterinary technician profession and the state of just the veterinary industry in and of itself. And when I left, I was suicidal last summer. I was taken to the hospital. I've been in therapy weekly for at least 4 years. I've paid a lot of money for my mental health. It's become actually like a part of my financial plan every year because I allocate so much money to it. And it's so necessary for my life that I dedicated a lot of time. But in all the time that I spent in therapy, I have not found something as meaningful and productive and constructive as what Steph is doing. And that's why I'm here.
Thank
to
you.
hopefully spread that word and help other people and show them what we're doing and the practice and telling them about Steph and how amazing she is. She found me. I did not sign up for this. I've given her money. I have been a client of Steph's. I think she probably needs to charge more for what she's doing, but
Of
I think,
course.
yeah, this has been transformative. So I can't say enough good things about the leader's work and what Steph has done. So I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And really, okay. So let me, one of the things that Meagan said when we started talking, because I think we're becoming friends as well. There's a different relationship happening there as well. Was that, how is it that you're not like you're not more out there? Like I'm going to take care of that. So I'm like, yeah, great.
That is,
And
yes, I said I gotta tell a whole lot of people about you. So
and one of the things she keeps telling me is like that I have to stress more that I was a veterinarian, like, or I am a veterinarian, or was a veterinarian. I also worked as a tech and a supervisor. That was the last position I held when I was in the States. And so what brought me from there to offering the work and, among other practices for personal professional development, is that, that usual story of wounding that comes for so many of us who work in veterinary medicine. So for me, it was during my first year of practice. I graduated in 99 in Germany. And I spent my first year of practice in the UK, and as it goes, I lost some animals, horse, sheep, cow, and then I worked for the government. That year was the foot and mouth epidemic, and basically what we did for those months that I worked there was kill. So we killed livestock, and at the time I was just out of university, and that was another job, and that's what they tell you to do. That's like necessary to control the disease, and it was so well paid. But the thing is, like, as a vet, as someone in veterinary medicine, my heart connects to animals as as family, as equal to myself. And so over the years after that, I began to question what I had done. And I began to question what I learned at university. And one of the first steps I took with that was go into alternative medicine. I worked in South Africa for many years. And during that time, I had a great time working. And I also studied for my homeopathy exam. That's like a 3-year course. And I was rock climbing a lot. It's a beautiful country. I was partying a lot. And I had a great life until the time that my body said, no more alcohol. You cannot drink anymore. It's done. And what happened was that all the unease that I had been medicating came up. and it came up seriously violently. Like the first time I quit smoking, the boyfriend I then had, who's now my husband, he stuck around. He said, "Don't ever do that again." And so it took years of therapy and breath work and meditation. And then finally, I found this work. Before I could contemplate, really being in veterinary medicine again and to talk to you people again. So I've taught, when I started in the beginning, I taught breath work and meditation for a long time, and then found that the practice of being present in your life, like really present, is invaluable for being a good leader in your career, in your position, whatever it is. And then also to be balanced. I have kids, I have a family. And, we've seen like so many studies that say, yes, this is so. Harvard, Yale, everyone throws out studies. But in my experience, there's no more powerful process than this work of Byron Katie, that to teach ourselves the presence, to really be in our lives, to really be alive, and to unravel those stories and those thoughts and those judgments that cause us so much pain. So the work of Byron Katie is an inquiry-based tool, and what it does, it allows us to use our mind, our logical mind, to undo those knots of stories. So it allows the practitioners that use this work to learn through inquiry, to lean in with inquiry into a specific challenging situations. And this is what we're going to do today. And then it teaches reflection, emotional literacy, cognitive behavioral ways to address the challenges. It teaches authenticity, and it teaches the importance, the felt feeling of how good it feels to allow ourselves to be present and not draw back because we're hurt. And so, of course, the work isn't therapy. It's not therapy. And a lot of my clients say the same as Meagan. I have been in therapy for many years, and I have been in therapy for many years, and this has gotten me further. So there's also studies on the work, white papers, and generally what they find is that the practitioners of the work generally find that they have alleviation of depression, decreased stress, improved relationships because of better communication, reduced anger and frustration, increased mental clarity, they have more energy, and they feel more at peace. So this doesn't work for everyone. This does not. It's not the miracle the miracle cure for everyone. This works for you if you have a desire for peace that is greater than your desire to be right, because you have to question your judgments. And so anybody who has experienced some moderate to substantial amount of, mental emotional suffering, a lot of us have realized that being right does not alleviate that pain. It doesn't. You can be right all day long and you still hurt. And, I've been really lucky to have convinced Meagan to try the work, because,
I like
she's
being right.
loving the changes in her life. She's like blowing it all over, and she's passionate about bringing this healing to more people. And she's a social wizard, which I am not. And so, in many ways, I think we are opposites, and in that way also we're complementary. So yeah, so we will demonstrate this process of the work, and like just very briefly, I'll explain it in Byron Katie's own words. Judge your neighbor, ask 4 questions, and turn it around.
Yeah.
Meagan, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So tell me about your situation. Tell me about the situation that you're taking to inquiry today. Tell us.
I'm with a young technician that has just graduated from school, and she is very confident. And we are doing an anesthetic procedure. She's not asked any questions, and I feel like she should have asked questions, and she should be, not as confident as she is, because it seems like, okay, you know what you're doing. And she has intubated the dog, and I ask if, everything looks correct. And I know it's not because the dog's color is not right. And I already checked and it's not intubated right. But I asked her if she has any questions and she says no. And she's having trouble with, the oxygen stats because the dog's not intubated right. And so she's trying to figure it out. And instead of, helping her, I'm just letting her do it because she seems like she doesn't want my help. Like she's like, I have this. I know what I'm doing. And I'm getting frustrated because she obviously doesn't know what she's doing and she needs to ask for help. And I'm just really annoyed because her confidence was so high that I immediately was just put off by this person. And I don't believe that they should have the confidence they have.
Perfect. So anyone who's, you're listening to this, or if you're watching the recording later or at a totally later state, you're watching this, the invitation is to look if this is a situation that you can relate to, and then follow Meagan with her inquiry. You might also just check in with the statements that she'll be reading on her worksheet, and see where they apply in your life, which might not be at work, it might be in other situations. So Meagan filled in a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. So will you read the worksheet for us?
All right, Pam. I am annoyed with Pam because she is overly confident.
Will you read the whole one?
Oh, sorry. You mean to just keep reading it? My bad. In this situation, I'm going to read it from the beginning. So it asks, in this situation, who angers, confuses, hurts, saddens, or disappoints you, and why? And my statement is, I am annoyed with Pam because she is overly confident. And the next question is in this situation, how do you want him or her to change? And what do you want him or her to do? And I said, I want Pam to ask questions, to double check her intubation. I want her to prove herself. I want her to notice the dog is turning blue. In this situation, what advice would you offer him or her? Pam should know better. Pam should check the intubation and anesthesia. In order for you, and this is the fourth question, in order for you to be happy in this situation, what do you need him or her to think, say, feel, or do? I need Pam to ask questions. I need her to ask for help. I need her to check the ET tube placement. I need her to walk me through her thought process. What do you think of him or her in this situation? Make a list. Pam is a young know-it-all. She is stupid and she doesn't know what she's doing. And number 6, what is it about this person and situation that you don't ever want to experience again? I don't ever want to witness a dog turning blue because a tech doesn't know what she's doing. I don't want to have to train Pam ever again.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to take these statements one by one, staying in this situation that Meagan has described, supervising this tech who thinks she's overly confident. And so, yeah, I invite you to follow along with Meagan's answers. If you have questions in between, questions might come up, please just put them in the chat and we will circle back to them later. Okay. So the first question of the work is it true? So Meagan, once more, read your first statement.
I am annoyed with Pam because she is overly confident.
So Pam is overly confident. In that situation, is it true?
Yes.
Okay. And notice that the answer for question 1 and 2 is either yes or no. And our mind just wants to go like, yes, because, And the second question is, can you absolutely know that this is true, that Pam is overly confident? Can you absolutely know that's true in this situation, that she's overly confident?
No. She does seem a little nervous.
Right. And the third question So the second question doesn't ask you to, say no now. It's just asking you to look again, to just slow down and look again. And there isn't any right or wrong answers in this process. It's all about self-awareness. It's about getting in touch with what is true for you. So yes, if it's yes, it's yes. And for Meagan, it's no. And then the fourth question is, how do you react? What happens when you believe this thought, watching Pam, that she is overly confident?
Well, I am with Pam. I'm next to the anesthesia machine. And they have told me that she's good to go. She's good to go on the floor. I shouldn't have to train her. And I'm sitting there and, I'm just like, she's good. She seems like she's good. She hasn't asked any questions. I've asked her several times if she needs anything or has any questions, and she keeps telling me no. And I'm tense. Like I can feel my back muscles because I'm very annoyed and I'm nervous for the dog, so I have some anxiety. And I am checking to make sure everything else looks okay, and I'm watching the stats on the monitor to make sure that the dog, I'm not going to let it crash, but I'm hoping that she catches it. And I am very tense. I can feel it in my legs right now and my back.
Mm-hmm. And when you look at Pam, what do you see?
I see like a whirlwind of like moving around, checking stuff, but she's not checking the right stuff. And she's so confident that she has intubated the dog. And she hasn't looked there yet. And I'm just like, waiting, annoyed. And I'm not going to say anything because, she seems like she's got it. So I shouldn't have to.
What's your body language towards her?
Closed. I'm standing behind the machine and I'm just watching.
And checking in with your facial expression. What do you think? What it looked like?
Pretty sure it's RBF. I think pretty bad. Like it's not pleasant. And I wear my emotions on my face. So it's like really hard for me to be like, I don't think you're an idiot. Like,
Right.
so bad.
And then
I'm being a mean girl.
and how is your breathing as you're standing there and your body language is closed and your face is tense and judgmental, shallow? Yeah. So that is what this question is there for. This question invites you to examine, what am I bringing into the situation? What is my part here? What is, what part am I playing? What am I thinking about them? What am I feeling? How is my judgment making me act? And Meagan, is there anything that you can't see or do as you're standing there watching her, thinking she's overly confident?
I don't see her. I just see this like blur of motion. And I'm just waiting for her to check the right thing. And it's like very tense because it's like, it's like a word about to be spoken. And I'm just like waiting for it.
Mm-hmm. And in that same situation, who would you be without the thought that she is overly confident?
Okay, so I started crying earlier today about this because I was thinking about it. But I would probably be the person that she needed me to be. Because I'm seeing that she is struggling and she needs help. And I'm putting my own pride in front of the needs of not only her, but the dog as well.
And just noticing that we do these things innocently. We're so caught in those moments, in our emotion and in our thinking, that we have not got a chance to get out of it.
Yep.
And it's only when we actually do a focus process like that and go back there, that we have a chance for the next time to act differently. So sometimes when you start doing this work, it can sound like, oh, I've done everything wrong. But it's not what it is about. It's about finding the compassion for the others and for ourselves. Because, that when you think the thoughts that you're thinking, there's no way you can act any differently. You're stuck. So who would you be? Who would that person be? The person that she needed, Meagan? How would that person act?
Yeah, I would not ask her if she had questions. I would kindly let her know that I've checked the intubation and that I have a laryngoscope that she can have to check and to replace the tube because that's what's going on. I would remind her to deflate the cuff first and, calmly lead her through that process. And then I would stay with her.
Right?
Yeah. And I would let her know that I was there to support her.
Exactly. And how does that feel to be that person?
So much better. So much better. So much lighter.
Right? How's your breathing when you're that person?
I can feel it fill up my lungs.
She's hosting the call.
Hi, Eden.
I'm sorry.
Eden, I'm gonna keep you muted.
It feels better. It feels lighter, and it feels like if feels like home.
Feels like home. Yes. So moving into the turnarounds, Eden, welcome. What we said in the beginning is like any questions and comments, we'll just put in the chat and then we'll get to them at the end. And thanks for joining. Love that you're here. Good. So the turnarounds. In the turnarounds, what we do in the process is contemplate the opposite of the original thought. And then we find out how they can apply as well. So this becomes a serious training in open-mindedness. And as you notice, as I'm asking the turnarounds, the question here isn't, is that true? But the question will be, how could that be true as well? So it's not about this was true and now this is true, but this is going on and this is going on as well. So Meagan, how would you turn this around? Pam is overly confident.
Pam is not overly confident.
And how could that be true?
She just graduated. She has very little clinical experience. I know that because that's why I'm questioning her confidence, because I saw her resume and I was told when she was hired. And I don't think that she really knows what she's doing. Like I had already made the judgment call before that I didn't think that she was ready to be on her own. I disagreed with my leadership's opinion on that. And I thought she needed more training. And I think I sensed that she was anxious and that she was just putting on a front. I just knew it. I mean, I've been a new tech before, right? Like I've been in her shoes. Like I know what it's like to come into a really experienced person that has a big personality And I know what that's like, and it sucks.
And how else would you turn it around? She's overly confident.
I am overly confident.
How could that be true?
Well,
In that situation, staying, again with that
um,
situation.
I had worked there for some time, and I was in a leadership position, so I had a lot of confidence regardless everywhere I went in that hospital. And I believed, I mean, I thought I was the bee's knees. I mean, give me the world, I'm going to take it on. And I had very strong opinions about that. That, I knew better, and I knew the best, and you all are just not doing a good job, because I was also pretty burnt out at that point too. So
Definitely makes opinionated much worse. Definitely.
so
Yep.
I was overly confident in everything I was doing, because it was easier to fall into that storyline.
Yep. So read us your one statements again.
I am annoyed with Pam because she is overly confident.
And I want Pam to.
I want Pam to ask questions, to double check for intubation. I want her to prove herself. I want her to notice the dog is turning blue.
Which of these statements would you like to take through the inquiry?
I want her to prove herself.
In that moment, you want her to prove herself. Is that true?
Yes.
And can you absolutely know that that's true? That's what you want from her in that moment. You want her to prove herself.
No,
And how do you react? What happens when you believe that? You see her fidgeting, dog's turning blue.
I want
want
her
her
to
to prove
notice the
herself.
tube, and like that stress comes back, and like I'm just like standing there, and I'm just like, hey, like I can see her, like I just want her to check the tube. I just want her to put her hands on the animal, and she's doing everything but.
Mhm. And who would you be without that thought in that moment?
I would not be waiting for Pam. I would see that Pam needs help.
And how does that feel different?
It's completely different. It's the opposite of what I was doing. And it feels right to me. It feels lighter. I can see that Pam could use some compassion and a friend in the clinic. She's new. And she's nervous. And she's starting to panic. And she doesn't want to look foolish by asking me a question.
So I want her to prove herself. How would you turn that around?
I don't want her to prove herself.
How could that be true in that moment?
Because we shouldn't be asking them to do that. That's not what I want out of anyone. Because they shouldn't have to. She went to school. I mean, I at least got a credentialed technician. And look how I'm treating her. I mean, she was dedicated to this. She's like already proved herself. So,
And I have an example from my own experience. Do you want to hear it? In that moment, as I'm standing there and I'm proving leadership wrong, I'm proving her wrong, part of me does not actually want her to succeed. Part of me wants to be in the position of, I know better, which is, and it's human.
yeah.
This is human. We do that. We fall into those traps. In that moment, a part of me doesn't want her to prove herself right, because I've already said they're wrong. This guy, she's not trained.
Right.
How else would you turn it around? I want her to prove herself.
I want me to prove myself.
And there could be two here. I want me to prove myself to her, and I want me to prove myself to myself. Which one?
I want myself to prove myself to her. Wait, I want to prove myself to her. Yes, because I can already see that, I'm top dog, and if she thinks she's so smart, like, well, then why don't you fix the anesthesia machine? Like, come on, let's go. And I'm just sitting there proving myself right. Like, I mean, because that's essentially what I'm doing, is like I'm telling, like, I'm just standing there like waiting for her, because I know that she's overly confident, and I'm like, oh, we'll see how confident you are when you're done with me.
And I love that you can laugh about it, because it really is innocent in so
God.
many ways. In so many ways, we're still in kindergarten.
Oh my God, absolutely. Like, I can feel it, when I sit in this moment, like I can definitely, like, I can just see it. And it's like, it's not a good color.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I mean, I too am human.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yes.
And I want me to prove myself to myself.
I know I'm right, I mean, that's like my most fun game, is like proving myself right. Like, I think anybody that's ever met me is like, oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh
I can
yeah,
meet you
she'll
there.
argue until she's dead.
Who likes to be right? Raise hands.
Right? I mean, I think yeah.
That's us.
Oh my God.
Will you read us the should statement?
Pam should know better. Pam should check the intubation and anesthesia. Yeah, she should be, like, she's messing with all of the, like,
Which one are we
monitoring.
investigating? Let's stay with one at a time.
Um, Pam should check the intubation and anesthesia.
Okay.
Well, no, let's do Pam should know better, because, like, because that is how I felt. That's kind of like that what I think I was like saying in my brain. I'm like, well, you should know better. Like, I mean, you should know to check the ET tube, since you're this hotshot new student, valedictorian in your class and all this stuff. You're so smart. You should be able to come in here and do this.
She should know better. Is it true?
Yes.
And can you absolutely know that that's true? And then how do you react? What happens when you believe that about her?
I'm very tense still. I can feel it in my body, and my jaw's tight, my neck is tight, my shoulders are tight, my legs. Like I'm just tense all over because I'm anticipating her doing the right thing because she should know better. And like I'm like trying to like will her like in my brain to do it. I'm like, oh. I felt this feeling so many times. It's a very familiar feeling.
And who would you be without that thought?
A better version of myself.
Let's drop the better.
I would be being myself without my opinions and my judgments. And I would realize that I cannot expect a brand new student with no clinical experience to know better. That is incredibly naive and ignorant of me. And kind of mean.
So once again, go through the sequence of what you would be doing without the thought in that moment. And I keep asking to go through this again. This is like, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's like, okay, how do you do it different? Because we fall into this, I'm a better person, but then we still don't know how that looks.
And that's why I keep coming back to Steph, because it's very easy to beat yourself up. So easy. At least that is so easy for me. Right, I have a tendency to do that. Okay, so
without the thought that she should know better, how do you
I'm standing with her,
approach?
and I'm letting her know that the ET2 placement is incorrect, and we need to take a look with the laryngoscope so that she can take a look and see what has happened so that she can learn how to correct it. And I lead her through that process, and she does as I'm instructing her, and she's very grateful for the help.
And who do you see when you do that, when
I
you look
see
at
her
her?
face.
And is that more or less stressful?
Oh, it's less stressful for sure. I'm not
How's your
tense.
breathing?
I'm with her. I'm practicing the thing that I love to do.
Right.
Helping animals and people.
And educating. And how would you turn that around? Pam should know better.
I should know better.
How would that be true?
I'm a seasoned technician. I'm very knowledgeable. And I have had the pleasure of working under somebody that is a servant leader. And I know that's not how you act towards a brand new person. So I should have known better. I should know better. I should know better in that moment.
And she shouldn't know better? How would that be true?
She's brand new. No clinical experience. How is that? How could I even think at the beginning to know it was true? And I don't know what kind of mentor she has. I really know nothing about her. I haven't really had any personal interactions with her. I don't know anything. So she definitely shouldn't know better. And she hasn't even had a chance.
Right. And these shoulds are powerful statements. Because that's really where we have this prescription of how the world looks, and it, you know, then it turns around to us and goes like, okay, so you do it then, and see how easy this is, right? In that moment, I think she should know better, but I don't even know better.
Right.
So pick one of your list. Let's skip, in the interest of time, let's skip the need. And
Oh, we can go with the what do you think of him or her in the situation?
that list, yes.
Okay. Pam is a young know-it-all. She is stupid and she doesn't know what she is doing.
Okay, so these turn around to the opposite.
And you know
You
what?
want
I'm before we go forward, I just want to like preface that when you fill out these worksheets, like you're supposed to be like sitting in the moment that you're struggling with, right? Like I was like sitting here thinking about like the situation. And so you're just supposed to be like as raw as possible when you're like just slapping this stuff down on the paper. And so I just want everybody to know that like you know, I don't like truly believe this. But I felt like I did at the time.
Yes, exactly. Yes. The instruction on the worksheet is be petty and judgmental.
It does say that. It actually says that.
It actually says that.
So Pam is a young know-it-all. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, turn all of them, turn it around to the opposite.
So Pam, so I am a young know-it-all.
How is that true in that situation?
Oh my God. I mean, I am a know-it-all. I'm like, I think that I know everything, you know, that she should be doing, and I'm just watching her, and I know what to do, right?
Right,
I know what to do in this situation, just waiting for her. And I feel
right.
like that's like the hallmark definition of a know-it-all. Like,
And again, you know, like, I mean, who has not felt that? You know, I can find that in my life, no problem, right?
all the time.
Yeah.
So,
So it really is, it's not about, you know, this is not who I am, this is not what I do, but really just seeing it in ourselves, and also seeing the innocence of being stuck in that, especially when we're stressed, especially when we're burning out.
because I wasn't listening to myself or my body or anything else that was around me. I was just stuck on the fact that I thought that this person should not be in this hospital because I was so like just mad about it. And
Exactly.
yeah, I was just so annoying. Um she is stupid. Or do you want to keep going with Pam is a young know-it-all?
No, I would like you to just continue on to the next statement. I don't ever want to.
Okay. Oh, of course, we have to do this one. Okay. Okay. I don't ever want to witness a dog turning blue because a tech doesn't know what she's doing. I don't want to have to
this,
train Pam ever again. Sorry.
yes. This turnaround, this turns into I'm willing to. So read it again. I'm willing to.
I am willing to witness a dog turning blue because a tech doesn't know what she's doing.
And how would that be true?
I have done this a million times when I'm in like a teaching situation. I've done relief work and ER and all, you know, all the in-betweens, and I've seen a million times when dogs are doing well under anesthesia and I've come in to help. So it was already true because like prior to this point, because I was a seasoned technician that had done this so many times.
Right.
And like, so like it is true inherently.
And the other turnaround here is I look forward to. How is that true?
Because I would look forward to witnessing a dog turning blue because a tech doesn't know what she's doing, or he, I mean, try not to be,
They.
right, whoever it is, because I love teaching, and sometimes that happens. I mean, like, anesthesia is never 100% safe. I mean, we teach that in school and in practice and all the time, that, I mean, that's why we have them sign a waiver. We know that as fact. So every time I'm putting a tech, in a position to put a dog under anesthesia, I'm willing to watch that because I am.
Right. So how does this situation feel now?
It feels better.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I could go back into practice because I would want to be that person for that technician that's brand new, that needs somebody, to help them. I mean, it feels good. It feels like I'm finally seeing it for the first time from both sides and realizing my part that I played in that narrative. And it's so much clearer, and it's emotional, and I'm crying because it's not just like forgiveness. That's what it feels like. It feels like forgiveness, not just for me, but for her, and for holding on to it for so long and being annoyed and like letting go of the, like being able to like feel the emotions but let go of them at the same time and respect them, and then be able to hold all of it, because you can see like how it's not linear anymore. It's not just one story. It's much more complicated than that. In fact, I feel like we like overcomplicate this. Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, oh, like that's how it feels at the end, is like, oh. And then I can laugh at myself because that's so silly. Why did I act like that? Like, silly Meagan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it makes me just want to do more because it opens the door to other situations that I have, like I can see glimpses of myself in other places. And so it's just like a snowball effect, and it helps because it's not like overwhelming, like, oh, I can see where I've done this, but it's almost like oh, that's where that feeling was coming from, and I don't have to hold on to it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because I
It's freedom.
understand. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Freedom from suffering. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. So does any one of you three who are here pipe in with any questions, observations, anything that you're seeing? And you do not have to, not required.
I feel that
That was very eye-opening. I appreciate you sharing.
yeah, of course. Thanks for hanging out and
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
being brave.
We actually had an incident today where the vet made a mistake and overdosed a dog on Librela, and she realized what she'd done after the fact, and she was accidentally, for whatever reason, was thinking the Cytopoint dose, and so she gave a dog 90 milligrams when she should have given it just 20 milligrams, and so to help out, we just I contacted the manufacturer, Zoetis, and we found out what the symptoms are of an overdose, what it would look like, and then told her so she could notify the clients. And then we just I shared some stories of when I made mistakes as well, and she's a relief vet, and so I said, still looking forward to working with you again in the future, and just kind of tried to give forgiveness.
That's awesome. I mean, we need more of that, because we did we were talking earlier, Steph and I found this snippet of information that she gave me very pertinent to that, what you're saying. And it's, when we make mistakes in practice, especially, like, you can apply this to like any part of life, but especially in the veterinary field, when we make mistakes, we tend to really beat ourselves up and we beat others up, because we get emotion. We're emotionally driven people, but we care about animals so much that we take it personally when our patients are harmed and we're doing the opposite of what we got into this field to do. But the fact of the matter is, mistakes happen, and if we are going to teach others that when mistakes happen we learn from them, we also have to model that. We have to model it from every angle. And I think that's where a lot of us I've struggled in so many parts of my career with that, because I think a lot of times when you're in academia, especially, you have an idea and you've been trained that there is this gold standard, or standard of care of some kind, because I was like that. I was that technician that came out of a really good school and knew everything, and this is how we did everything, and like, it's not right if you don't do it this way. And it took up until me working at a nonprofit low-cost center to realize how freaking wrong it was on so many levels.
And it's not necessarily even wrong. It's just, some
No,
places do
maybe
it
not.
like
That wasn't for
and
me. Yeah, like
right,
that's
right.
not what I agree with. Right? Yeah, exactly, Steph. Like, no, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not that anybody's right or wrong. It's just that did not serve me. Those
right.
opinions didn't serve me. Sitting in my own like pride did not serve me.
No,
And
that's exactly, that's the piece. And I love what you're saying, Oliver. I think that was the one piece that talking to this technician without the thought that she should know better is to just share, like, all these mistakes. Like, we all make those mistakes, especially when we're young, when we're under stress, when we're burning out.
Yeah.
We do. And it makes such a difference in people's lives to hear that in that moment. Like, you're not the only one. It happens.
it's pretty wild. And it's hard to sometimes admit that you're not right.
It is, especially in the medical professions, from what I've seen. My first lecture coming into veterinary school, I was told that I was the top of all things medical. Like, live up to that. You can't allow yourself to make mistakes, if that's how you're taught. And just the whole story of getting into vet school is really difficult. Like, you have to be best, you have to be best, you have to be best all the time. Anyway, we are nearing the end of our time, and I really appreciate you, Meagan, for sharing your beautiful self.
Yeah.
And
we're gonna do more, so this is gonna happen 2 more times.
Yes. And so the plan that I had for the 2 more times is, unless somebody else jumps in and says, oh, I want this to be inquired into, then we do one more session where I am facilitating Meagan, and then the last session we're actually going to switch, because it is really easy to hold this process. And part of my mission is to get this process into veterinary medicine in a way that veterinary professionals can support each other, because it's not a difficult process. It's some simple questions that we can ask of each other, and we, as the work is taught and practiced within the community, is within the community of the work, is that you are responsible for your process. So it's not like you hand this process over to the professional and they're responsible for you. No, this is your process and you hold it. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, the process that you went over, my background, I was a vet tech in the military for 22 years. And we had this training, is called Master Resiliency Training. And we would, part of that is multiple things, but one of the things we did is we would look at, they call them activating events. And then you would look at the event and then trying to determine if you had your reaction was disproportionate to the event. And then if you did that, if you thought it was, then you would look for, they call them icebergs, something underlying within yourself, like a misalignment with a character trait versus that. And then if you did that and you found that, then you knew that's something you had to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the exercises we went through, we determined one of my icebergs is that I think that children should respect their elders. And when they don't, I have this really bad, I'll sometimes disproportionately get angrier than I should when they don't. And so that's something I still have to work on. So
totally.
Hey, you can
bring it in the hot seat.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite quotes from Byron Katie actually is, children should respect their parents on what planet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was eye-opening when I had to do that, and I was like, why did I react the way I did? And it's like that, and we had to dig down and find that's what it came down to.
Right. And you can take this work deep as well. Just one of the questions, sub-questions would be, what do you see in your past? What's coming up? So yeah, definitely. No wonder you can deal with the situation that you described calmly because you have that training. Yeah. So I would like to wrap up. Sorry, Meagan.
No,
we can talk for absolute ever.
I know. We're bad.
But I would like to wrap this up. So because you signed up, you're going to have an email with the link to the recording. Feel free to share it if you want to share it with anybody. What we're trying to do with this work is really bring it into the veterinary profession in one-on-one sessions, but also to support teams at practices. So if any of this is of interest to you, please feel free to reach out to us. I have you were going to do the link in the chat. You did. I have discovery calls that I obviously don't charge for, and I also don't charge for networking. If anybody wants to talk more about this, I am very open to making more connections and also hearing input. Anything that comes to you guys later that says, oh, I wish I'd mentioned that, or this could have been better, or this was great, please feel free to share it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for coming. Thank you, Steph.
Oh, pleasure.